As you all know, my name is Michael, and I am studying lighthouses. To start off, I'll talk about the history of lighthouses. The first lighthouses were basically bonfires that people had built on top of little cliffs. After they started putting the bonfires on raised platforms, thus creating the early lighthouses. The Boston Lighthouse, this little guy here, was the first American lighthouse built in Boston Harbor, Massachusetts. The Ponce Lighthouse is the tallest lighthouse in Florida, and has less steps than the St. Augustine Lighthouse. And the St. Augustine Lighthouse is haunted by some resident ghosts that came from the original lighthouse, which sank into the ocean. For instance, Pete. Pete was one of the old lighthouse keepers from the original lighthouse. And for the girls, he'll grab your legs and play with your hair and maybe massage your shoulders. For the men, hot neck and uncomfortable shoulders. And then the Fresnel lenses, these things, they would project the light for however long they want to, depending on their sizes. The sizes range from 1 to 6. The first order is the St. Augustine, with a range of 21 miles. And the Ponce Lighthouse is a second order lens with a range of, there's a third order lens with a range of 17 miles. And the Boston has a second order lens also. I lied. This one has first order. This one has second order lens and has a range of 27 miles. And how these Fresnel lenses were made would be that a bunch of prisms, like these, thank you, would be encased in a thing of glass and would be called bullseyes. And then a bunch of bullseyes would be created in two halves to make one of these. This would be what they would do, a little diagram. Light would come here, come out the prisms, and project up to 20 miles or higher. Here, let me show you how it scatters.
Can you turn off the light?
No, this is good. Any questions?
Really sorry.
Joshua.
Isn't whatever the lighthouse was called with the ghost, doesn't he shine it? Doesn't the ghost shine it to sink ships?
No, that's a Scooby-Doo episode. Silent.
I could choose this topic.
Because we were going to Florida, and I thought it would be convenient since there were a lot of lighthouses in Florida. We didn't go to the Boston one. We went to these two. Caitlin.
Where is the haunted lighthouse located?
In St. Augustine. It's over by the St. Augustine Fort. And yes, there's a fort. Carly.
Do you know how tall do you know what the tallest lighthouse is?
In the world or in Florida?
In the world.
I know which one the oldest lighthouse is.
Okay.
It was the Pharaoh's Lighthouse, built in, I forgot, somewhere in my folder, so I'll show you later. And Tay?
So, why do you think Boston one?
Yeah.
one, the black and white one.
This is the St. Augustine.
Why does the ghost hunt you?
This in particular lighthouse isn't haunted. It is haunted, but the ghost came from the original lighthouse that sank into the ocean.
How does it sink to the ocean?
I don't know, quicksand. It was just built too close to the shore. Thomas?
Wasn't that fort, was that haunted?
The fort?
Yeah. Fort.
Oh, the St. Augustine Lighthouse or the fort?
The fort, was that haunted?
No. Eric?
I have two questions. What was your most useful resource?
Most useful resource was probably my grandma.
And what was the most interesting fact you learned about lighthouses?
Well, that depends. I think it was pretty shocking that this one had more steps than this one, but the most surprising was probably that this one was haunted. I had no idea that was haunted until I actually took the ghost tour. Thomas again.
What is the most colorful lighthouse?
Take your pick. Eight. Somebody already asked that, but it was because we were going to Florida soon, and it was kind of convenient because there are a lot of lighthouses in Florida. Carly's, Kaylee.
Which lighthouse has the most people that come to it?
Well, I'm going to guess that this one has more because of the ghost tour. But this one is also pretty popular because it's actually got a whole museum. That's where, and a gift shop. That's where I got the shirt. First, before you give me a question, what's your name? Alyssa.
Which lighthouse gets the most light?
Light. Project farthest is this one. Matthew.
Why do you want to pick that, the one that's haunted? You don't pick that one.
Well, I can pick up the Boston one, mostly because this one is holding up the light with the Tinker tool. So, Miss Clifton.
Thank you. So you said that your grandma was the most useful resource. What other resources did you have, and why was your grandmother the most resourceful?
My main resource was Wikipedia.
Okay, but you
And-
found that your grandmother was the most useful.
Useful, as in like printing off, helping me with my notes. Yes.
Does she happen to have some models in her house?
Yes, she has. Her whole bathtub is just lined with.
So, Michael, would you say that your grandma is an expert in lighthouses? Did she tell you some
No, she's
information?
not expert in lighthouses. More of genealogy.
Okay.
She
She
knows
has a
a-
lot of information for you, though, about life.
She's an expert.
What is the ghost tour like?
Basically, you climb the lighthouse, and with nothing but a glow stick, a green glow stick. You have no flashlights, no flash photography, no nothing. So you have to walk the whole lighthouse, and then once you get to the top, you get congratulated, all that stuff. Come back down, and then you go into the house, which is here, and they'll tell you all the ghost stories and Carly.
Do you know what one of the ghost stories was about?
There's only one ghost story.
What is it?
Well, there's more ghost tours than that.
What's the main one?
The kids in the, remember the kids that were in the truck or in the railroad car?
Oh, yeah, well, I was hoping I could.
I'm sorry, it's a sad story.
Oh, well. Most
Wasn't
popular
the
ghost
knocking?
story or most popular ghost tour?
Ghost story.
Story?
Like, what did they tell really often?
Well, they only tell all the ghost stories once, but Pete was mentioned a lot, and the shadow figure, which he was also pretty big. He was another one of the lighthouse keepers, and 4 girls in a minecart, 5 girls in a minecart, and 3 drowned. Yeah, so there's a minecart that went around the place, and they had a nice dad. He would let them, and there's a gate right here, and they would run into it and go back up. And then they decided that they wanted to have another girl onto the minecart to get in on the fun, but instead of bumping into the car to the gate and then bouncing back, it hit the gate, then keeled over and trapping them under it. The reason that 2 survived was because there was a guy, like, say about here. He rushed over, dived in, and saved 2 of the girls. Other 3 drowned. Kaylee?
Can you tell us another one of the stories?
Let me see. Dan, well, I don't know. The shadow figure. He was in one of the lighthouse keepers. Oh, well, that's not really the story. That just tells you. And the other story that they told us was about 3 girls that drowned. They're kind of pranksters. They would, if you had like really like neon, you know those neon tie shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they would if your shoes were untied, they would tie them together. And if your glow stick was untied, they would fall off, and then it would slip down, and then you would find it on the ground, and it would be a completely different knot. Marley?
Have you been to any other lighthouses other than those 2
In my lifetime or just in my trip?
in your life?
No. I don't think so. Marley. I mean, Maggie.
When you said that the girls at the haunted lighthouse would
Yeah.
like get their like massage shoulders,
No, that was Pete.
I don't get it.
No, the girls and Pete are in the same house, but Pete is in the basement.
Well, I didn't understand what you meant by
Meant by.
like the girls would get their shoulders rubbed into.
No, I meant not the girls, not the ghost goers, the actual, like the girl tourists.
I know, but so the
Is
girls,
it the ghosts were doing that? Is
Yes,
that what
the
you
ghosts,
said? That was the
the
ghost.
ghosts, but that's Pete, not the girls.
So the girls thought that Pete was.
So Pete the ghost massages
Pete the ghost massages the living girl
girls'
tourists.
and then
shoulders.
And then the ghost girls will tie their shoes.
There we
what
go.
about the guys? They like get uncomfortable shoulders.
Yeah, uncomfortable shoulders and hot neck. Saddle.
How did how was it
That's
hard?
hats off. Yeah.
What do you mean how?
Like how did it get on?
The original lighthouse sank into the ocean, and the people from the dead people from the original lighthouse found the nearest object and clung to that.
How does that even happen?
It's haunted by the ghost from the original lighthouse.
It's pointing.
Okay,
at
it
you.
looks like we have two more questions, Michael. Nora and Joshua.
4.
Well, all
Nora?
of a sudden we have more.
I was wondering if did Pete? So Pete came from the original lighthouse.
Yes, all of them came from the original.
Oh, okay. So were they just like in charge of running the lighthouse or something?
Yeah, the lighthouse keepers, they would clean the lens and
So
crank
it's
the
one of
crank.
those-
The way the lens turned back then, before electricity was invented, it worked like a giant cuckoo clock. one night, one of the lady tourists was having a great time. Hair was getting grabbed, shoulders getting massaged, legs getting grabbed, and then her boyfriend got jealous of a guy who had been dead for 75 years, and said, "Hey Pete, she's with me. Back off." Immediately stopped. Didn't see Pete for the rest of the night. Carly?
Who is Pete?
Pete was one of the lighthouse keepers.
Oh, the guy.
Beatrice.
Well, how's like ghost stories when my mom and dad tell me ghosts, which are practically monsters, they said that
Different.
ghosts aren't real, and how are they, like, ghost stories is...
You're asking the wrong guy. If you want an answer to answer that question, go find a guy who studies paranormal activity. Kaylee?
Did you go in that lighthouse and...
Which one? This one?
Yeah. And
Yes.
Pete,
No, I had zilch paranormal activity. Anybody else?
All right. Thank you, Michael, for
Yeah.
that wonderful Puzzles